Yes, my name is David Bethshears, and glad to be with you today. I want to tell you a little bit about fish formula, the old fish formula, how it got started. Uh, I started playing with scents uh, in my drugstore, and I went to a little pond, and I spent about 3 years to determine whether fish can smell or not. And I actually went 3 years, and I quit 3 times during that period. And the reason why that I quit is because I dumped gasoline, my worm into gasoline, and I caught a fish just as soon as I throwed it in the water. And I said, scent makes no difference. So I quit, and then I thought about it a little bit, and that don't make sense to me. And I went back and started playing with it again, and I was able to determine whether a fish was active, or whether he was dormant, or whether he was inactive. And when I figured out the active fish would hit anything, including a worm doused in gasoline. A dormant fish is not going to hit anything less than a stick of dynamite, and that's illegal. But it's that 30 to 40% of the fish that fish formula actually benefited the fisherman. And I call that an inactive fish. So any day that a fisherman goes out on the lake, he has an active fish, he's going to hit anything, regardless of, you've seen it and I've seen it. As soon as it hits the water, the plug hits the water, a fish engulfs it. He's active. A dormant fish is not going to hit anything, but 30 to 40% of the fish is what we're playing with scent. And when I started out, I didn't really intend to sell the product. I was going to win every bass tournament there was in the country. And I started out hiding it under the boat, and the guy would see me in the back of the boat using the product, and I would end up with 8 or 10 fish during the day, and he would have 1 or 2 bites, and he sniggered at me at the start of the day, but at the end of the day, he said, "Can I have that stuff?" We didn't even have a name for it then. And so I said, sure, and it got to be where that it was so costly. I can remember exactly, I made $350 a week, and it was costing me, when it got to cost me $350 a week, then I realized that I couldn't do it anymore. So I told the guys, look, your buddies that you sell to, or that you show this product to, they'll have to pay for it. And that's how the fish formula got started. It wasn't until I met and got involved with Bill Dance, and he and I went through the country, and we talked about fish smelling. And when we would talk to a group of fishermen, we went to the universities and different places where any place where the fish would gather, fishermen would gather. We would talk to them about fish smelling, and they would scratch their head and they'd say, "Really?" And now today you go into a bait store, there's 4-foot sections of scent products, and we're the company that actually started scent in the bass world and the crappie world and the walleye world and the smallmouth world and the ice fishing world, and it took the fishing industry by storm. The original fish formula did. So we kept that company for about 8 years, and I sold the company, and we was doing an enormous amount of business at the end of that time. But we met so many people during our fish formula days that I have friends across the country, and now we go back and guys walk up to me and they say, "Me and my daddy used to take a bath in fish formula." And that's a good feeling that you know that you touched somebody. And it's unbelievable the amount of people out there that recognize the name Fish Formula. For 53 years, it's been 53 years since we introduced the product. And today, buyers come up to us and say, we sold thousands of bottles of this stuff back in the day. And so that's a brief history of Fish Formula and what Fish Formula, how Fish Formula got started, and really what it has evolved in. We use science, a lot of science, to develop the fishing products. Back in the 80s, late 70s and early 80s. Now we're using advanced science, and we'll talk about that sometime in the future. But just want to give you a brief history of what Fish Formula was about.